snap. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Patrick. If you like true crime, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button, y'all. If you're watching the live stream right now on your phone like this, just flip the phone like that, hit the little like button, and then come back in and join. And I'm disappearing because my shirt is green. I just realized that. Oh, and it looks gray now because I got the green screen behind me. Anyways, welcome in, y'all. We got a case to talk about here. The terrifying story of Stephen Davis. All right. Shout out to Beyond Evil. Love that channel. It's their video that we're going to be watching and reacting to. So make sure you click the link in the bio. Go subscribe to Beyond Evil. They do some amazing work, some awesome videos. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me use the video as well. Very sweet. Make sure you guys go subscribe to that YouTube channel. All right. You guys ready for this one? Real quick, before we get started too, shout out to Allison. Thanks for joining the channel. Very much appreciated. Shout out to Emily for gifting a membership. And I think Swarna got it. So shout out. Y'all, thanks for joining the channel. Just click the little join button. Thanks for the super chats, y'all. I'll pin the super chats up on the channel just like this as well. So shout out to everybody. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. And let's get going. Here's the case.
Did you kill Stephen?
No, he was my perfect husband with me, and I have my 2 kids, and he 6 years and a half. He was the best man I ever had.
Oh Lord. She did it.
Evelyn Davis is on.
No, man. What do y'all think? Did she do it? Just by that, I'm like, that seems like you did it.
On trial for murder. Did she do it? Or is she just a victim of circumstance? She smiles and professes her innocence. But could Evelyn's web of lies tangle and twist her words, sending her into a future far worse than her past? Stephen Alston Davis was a very talented, handsome 21-year-old computer programmer from the small town of Bingham, England. He loved his work and did it so well that he was blessed with an amazing business opportunity, that of working and living abroad. Once Stephen was settled in and learning the region, his one favorite place to enjoy and unwind was in Angeles City in the Philippines. He had also developed quite a taste for hanging out in the nightclubs and strip clubs there.
Oh Lord, here we go. Here we go, hitting that red light special.
Angeles City is labeled as the sex capital there, and girls will often lie about their age to get a job. If they are high,
sweet Jesus, entertainment purposes only, entertainment and educational purposes only. YouTube overlords. Oh God, here we go.
They make the money to send back home to family. Stephen would soon decide he would move from Hong Kong to the Philippines, where he started his own software development company and branch out on his own. Plus, he could enjoy more time with his friends and have fun hanging out at the clubs, especially in one of these establishments where a young dancer would catch Stephen's eye, and he would soon be very taken with her. She was Evelyn Bohol and would eventually become his wife.
Oh, snap. Stephen.
Evelyn, on the other hand, came from a different world than Stephen. Her family was very poor, living in the poverty-stricken village of Daran Samar in the Philippines. To help her family, Evelyn supposedly left her home place and traveled to Angeles City. There, she became employed as a sex worker and dancer, starting at the age of 13.
Oh, my God. Who tags me in these? Last night's case was crazy as hell. This one's, I mean, we're a couple minutes in. It's already getting crazy as hell. Y'all hit me with a super chat. I appreciate it.
Then, 2 years later, at the age of 15, she met Stephen on one of his outings to the clubs.
Oh, damn. Shout out Ams. Thank you for joining the channel. Very much appreciate it, y'all. Keep them coming. Thank you.
He became a regular visitor to the club that Evelyn worked at, and she, after some time, was able to convince Stephen that she was stuck in a dangerous life. The bar owner,
Damn. Diane, thanks for joining the team as well. Very sweet, y'all.
sits and watches closely for any problems, and at the end of the night, he takes the largest portion of what customers pay. Working as a sex worker at the club, she danced and put herself in a less than favorable position, and the owner of the club practically owned the girls that worked there.
Oh, damn.
The only way most of the girls can get out of this lifestyle is to find a rich man, and Evelyn would soon be on her way. Evelyn and Stephen began dating. Then, after a few years, they married in March of 1997. Evelyn was 17, Stephen was 26. Evelyn had convinced Stephen that she was older and had even used her older sister's ID, which said she was 21 at the time.
Can you imagine that? You get all your paperwork back and it's like, damn it. Says here I married your sister? That is crazy. Oh, Lord, let's keep going.
Once married, Stephen paid $637 to the club owner to buy Evelyn's freedom.
Excuse me, what?
Stephen also told her that she'd never have to go back to that type of work again. She could stay home and he would provide for her and protect her. He would make her his queen. Any female may have been thrilled with this prospect, and Evelyn certainly seemed thrilled.
Good morning.
Beyond evil, they're so funny. She seemed thrilled, and they put that clip up where she's like half asleep.
Good morning. Good morning, Daddy.
Stephen would even purchase Evelyn a nice house in an upscale neighborhood in Angeles City, along with maids to take care of the home for them. Evelyn certainly seemed excited over her new life and certainly spoiled. Not everyone was happy about the newlywed bliss. Stephen's mom, Margaret, wasn't too happy that her son had married a prostitute.
Were you shocked when you discovered that he'd bought a prostitute for the night?
I was disappointed. Very disappointed.
Oh, damn, Stephen, you pissed off your mom.
But you have to be there to understand it. Some of these girls, I could have took home with me.
What? What did you just say?
Clank, diddy, clank, diddy, clank, clank, clank.
Oh, my God. Stephen, what's going on with your mom?
They're really not sexually, obviously.
Oh, okay, thanks for clarifying. I thought that was about to take a crazy turn. Thank God she clarified. Even the cameraman in the back cracking up.
As a mum, they're so pretty, so attractive, and they don't deserve to do what they're doing.
He says if you can rescue just one girl from the bar life, he says that's what I've done. I've rescued her from that life.
But when she finally met Evelyn, Margaret was
So he's in that thing of you could take a lady out of the streets, but can you take the streets out of the lady? Oh, man.
impressed
How's this going to go? I guess not good because we're talking about it.
how courteous and pleasant the young woman was. Plus, her son loved Evelyn, and that was the important thing, former prostitute or not. Eventually, children were born into this fairy tale romance. First came a beautiful daughter named Jessica, then a son named Joshua.
Oh, man, they even had kids?
Stephen was over the moon with his new wife and 2 children. He even started giving Evelyn a monthly allowance of $1,274, which she would then send back home to help out her poor family. Stephen would even give her family gifts when they visited, and he also had the only brick home in the village built for them back in Dharamsalar. Stephen would do anything to make his wife happy. Things were going splendidly. Or were they? The last time that Margaret and Alan, Stephen's stepfather, had visited Stephen and his family, something
And that's $1,200 back then. And they're from didn't they say they're from the UK? That's not even $1,200. That's 1,200 pounds. That's more than $1,200.
Happened on the last day they were there. Evelyn made it a point to have Stephen's parents spend as much time with him as possible. And when it was finally time to leave,
A red flag there. Y'all make sure you like the video too.
Evelyn made sure they told Stephen goodbye several times. Had Evelyn already made plans for Stephen's demise? Or was she just making sure that his parents had time with him, knowing it would be his last time alive?
My anger with Evelyn, she let me say goodbye.
September 17, 2002, Stephen and his co-worker friend Martin had worked late that evening. They kept a rented apartment together in Makati, as it would keep them close to the financial center and they wouldn't have to face such a long drive home. It wasn't unusual for them to stay there during the week, but if he was not working, Stephen would be at home with his wife Evelyn 3 hours away in Angeles City. On this night, though, after they settled in, there was a loud crash at the front door, and then 3 armed men ran inside. Martin had been lounging in the main room. He sat up, visibly shaken. The men raised their guns at him and asked if he was Stephen. When he said he wasn't, they moved to the next room. After a moment of quiet, Martin heard the deafening sound of gunfire.
Oh my God.
3 or 4 times.
At that point, I heard a yell and 3 or 4 shots. They were simultaneous. There was Steve's yell. He was yelling, hey, or something along those lines. But at the same time, there was these shots.
The 3 men ran past Martin and out of the apartment. Martin immediately got up and rushed to the room where Stephen was and found him lying unresponsive in bed. He had been shot several times in the chest.
Dear Lord.
Martin quickly called the police. By the time they had gotten Stephen to the hospital, though, he was gone. Stephen was just 32 years old.
Then I heard
God.
running down the stairs. I went to Steve's room, saw him lying there. I felt for a pulse. There was none. So I just went downstairs and went to the neighbors and called the police. And then I just said aloud to one of the neighbors, in fact, I just turned and said, that fucking bitch killed him.
2 days would pass before Stephen's mother would get the dreaded call about her son, and her whole world would collapse. But it wasn't Margaret's daughter-in-law that called her. It had been Martin delivering the awful news of Stephen's death. Margaret was devastated. She wanted to know how this could have happened. She wanted some answers. To do that, she would have to go to the Philippines. So, Margaret and her husband, Alan, were on the next plane out of England, arriving in the Philippines 2 days later. They first met up with Martin, Stephen's friend. Once Margaret spoke with him, she realized that he too had been traumatized. He was frightened and nervous, fearing the intruders might come back after him since he had seen their faces and they had let him live. When they'd finished talking with Martin, Margaret and Alan went to the
terrifying
funeral home. There they would meet up with Evelyn, who was busy making the arrangements. Expecting Evelyn to be distraught and crying, Margaret was stunned by what she found. Not the weeping widow, but an icy and indifferent Evelyn with her hand out. She needed money,
I wonder why.
she told Margaret, and Margaret gave it to her.
Evelyn was sat to the left as we walked in, and she didn't get up. And we went over to Stephen's coffin. Evelyn never came to us.
Did she seem upset?
No.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all.
Never saw a tear from that girl's eyes at all.
Never, ever.
When asked if they could stay at the house, Evelyn said no abruptly. She then went on to say that she had family staying there and there was no room for them.
What?
Suspicion started to grow in Margaret's mind, and then she showed up at the home the next day.
Good.
She knew Evelyn had lied. There was no family there,
Yeah, and where are the kids at?
just Evelyn and the children
Oh, they're still with her?
and the maids. Why had she lied? All that glittered in the beginning had turned into a washed-out, faded gray. The perfect marriage was nothing close to being perfect. In fact, things had been falling apart. Bills were past due because Evelyn wasn't paying them. Money and items in the house would go missing. The children were left with the home workers, freeing Evelyn up for the day, and Stephen had been spending extended periods of time away from the house in Angeles City and his family, preferring to party with his work friends instead. But that wasn't everything. Margaret had known that the marriage was strained. Stephen had confided in her months before his death, talking about several things that concerned him. Financial troubles were a big problem, and Stephen voiced his concern that he was afraid that Evelyn was stealing money from him. He
Yeah. Clifton! What's up, Clifton? Long time no see. Good to see you.
even cut her allowance, which Evelyn did not take very well. She apparently even pawned her wedding ring. What was her overwhelming need for money? Stephen had always paid for everything. Then, friends of Stephen confided in Margaret that several months prior to his death, Evelyn had started acting odd. She was leaving the house at all different hours. She was never without her cell phone. She refused to sleep with her husband and practically didn't want to be in the same room with him. And
Oh, man, I wonder what was happening.
when Stephen was 3 hours away working, Evelyn was having guests, male guests. The nasty truth had finally come to light. Evelyn had a boyfriend, Arnold Adore, and she had him around for quite a while.
Holy hell.
Stephen had learned about the boyfriend. He had been having his suspicions that she was cheating on him, and it had been confirmed when he took his daughter to school, only to find out that she had never even registered there. Her mother had used the hefty tuition money on her boyfriend. She had taken from her own child to make her
The damn tuition for your kids? Oh, God. She's giving it to the boyfriend? That's crazy. You're going to burn in hell for that one, too.
boyfriend happy. Well, Stephen had had enough. He cut off Evelyn's allowance completely. He told her to get a job or to go to school and further herself. And the last demand was that she had to get rid of her boyfriend. Evelyn didn't want to get rid of him, but if her husband
What? Man, she'd be gone so fast.
were to disappear,
That would be so, that would be just, you, huh? Bye.
she would stand to inherit everything. Margaret quickly realized that the police weren't really going to help. They looked at it as a possible robbery gone wrong, or it could have been business related.
We started at their office, which is a few blocks away from the rented apartment. But all the employees are claiming that the
Right. How dare you make her give up her boyfriend, right?
team is a very good employer.
How completely unreasonable of him.
They don't think of anybody who would do that to him. They're really facing a blank wall then.
But Margaret was having none of that. She was going to get to the bottom of what had happened to her son one way or another. So Margaret hired her own private investigator. She wanted an eye kept on Evelyn as well.
Yup, maybe 3 or 4. Well, 4.
Margaret knew that Evelyn had something to do with Stephen's murder. Call it a gut feeling or mother's instinct, but she
Or just common sense. My God. Why else would, like, there's no other. Yeah, that's just common sense, too.
just knew.
She's crying and give me a hug. She's crying on my shoulder and telling me, oh, please help my son's case to be solved.
Evelyn had not been upset at finding out about the death of her husband, nor had she cried tears of grief at his funeral.
Hell no. She was getting that money. She didn't care whatsoever. By the way, y'all, make sure you like the video. Everybody watching right now, give it a like. Turn your phone from this to this. Hit the like button and then come back in real quick, y'all. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining the team, too. Shout out to Allison. Shout out to Emily. Shout out to Ams. And shout out to Diane for joining the team. Y'all, thank you for the love. Who's going to send that first super chat, too, y'all? Click the little super chat down next to the emojis.
Margaret wanted Evelyn watched closely. Every move she made, along with photos of where she went and who she was with. The private investigator did as requested, and when he had collected enough photos of the people coming and going from the residence, Margaret took them to Martin to see if he recognized anyone. He did. All 3 of the men that had broken into the apartment. One specifically, Arnold Adore.
Oh, damn, the damn boyfriend broke in.
Evelyn's boyfriend.
At one point, he looked towards me, and I saw his eyes. And those are the same eyes that were, going to gun me down. I was 100% certain.
Margaret and her investigator went to the police with all they had, names, dates, times, and photos. The police finally listened to Margaret, located the 3 men suspected of murdering Stephen, and arrested them. Arnold Adore, Robin Butas, and Alexander Dagami. All 3 had worked for Silver Wing Security Agency Incorporated as security guards. Arnold and Alexander were found guilty and would serve 30 years in prison, but Robin would not face the same punishment.
30 years.
As he turned to state's evidence and was pardoned. The information Robin gave was that
Pardoned? Oh my God.
Evelyn had planned it all. She had given them a key to the apartment and was more than happy to drive them to where Stephen was. She told the 3 that once Stephen was out of the way, she would get all of his money, and they could all live comfortably.
Evelyn told everybody that Stephen was a millionaire and she would get all Stephen's money when Stephen was dead.
While her husband upstairs was being brutally murdered by her boyfriend, she sat in a vehicle outside as the lookout and waited. The police had
Oh my God, that lady is sick.
legitimate concerns for the safety of Margaret, her husband, and grandchildren. They had only apprehended 2 of the suspects, and Robin Butas was still at large, so they advised Margaret that they needed to return to England. Margaret was not leaving without Stephen's children. Fortunately, Stephen's daughter, Jessica, had been there with them, but Evelyn had their son, Joshua, with her, and as upsetting as it was, they would have to leave him behind until they could figure out a way to get the little boy.
I didn't want to leave Joshua.
My
It was
God.
the hardest thing I did is to leave the baby there without taking him.
I wouldn't.
So we left the passport for Joshua and we had to get on the plane with Jess. And by this time I'd got halfway down my list because I'd got Jessica, I got the passports, I got Stephen's ashes in my hand luggage. We got 2 guys in jail and was exhausted.
They fled the country, and after some time of negotiating with Evelyn, Margaret was able to pay her off in order to have Joshua in England with them.
Oh my God, the grandmother had to buy the grandson. That is sick. That is sick.
Surprisingly, a little bit of luck came Margaret's way. Out of anyone that would offer to help, it had been Evelyn's own family that stepped up and aided Margaret in locating the 3rd suspect. The police
That's good.
were advised.
I promised her I would do anything I could to help her. She said thank you. I said I understand because we are both mothers.
Evelyn herself went into hiding from authorities, and they were at a standstill with the investigation of that part of Stephen's murder. Finally, after over a year of investigations and searching, Evelyn was found and arrested.
It's been a very long, long journey. It's been 2.5 years. It's been a hard journey, a day in, day out journey. And I just hope that I can get some resolve and focus on the children and bring the children up and do all the things that Stephen would want us to do.
In November of 2004, Margaret made sure she was back in the Philippines and in court.
Criminal case number 022292, People of the Philippines versus Evelyn Davis, et al.
Decision dispositive portion. Wherefore, this court hereby finds Evelyn Bohol E. Talawagan, also known as Evelyn Bohol Davis, and Dianita Bohol Davis, guilty beyond reasonable doubt of murder qualified by treachery without any mitigating or aggravating circumstances, and sentences her to suffer the penalty of reclusion perpetua.
Margaret had wanted to be there when Evelyn Davis was found guilty. Evelyn escaped the death sentence only because Margaret told the court she didn't want to see that happen. She wanted Evelyn to spend her time alive and in prison, thinking every day about what she had done and what she had lost because of her greed. The judge agreed and sentenced Evelyn to 40 years in prison with no chance of parole. When the trial was over, Margaret requested a moment alone with Evelyn.
Stand up, Evelyn. Stand up and talk to me, Evelyn. Take off those glasses. Look at me.
Oh my, I can't believe they let her do that. Imagine trying to do that in the States. They'd be like, hell no.
Your daughter cries for you. Your son cries for you. They want their mummy, and you don't want them.
I want Jesse and Joshua, you know
don't
that.
want them?
No, you know that. I want Jesse and Joshua, you know that.
But how can you convince me of that?
Whatever happened with Stephen, I don't know. You know that, Mom. I was there with Stephen. Everything what happened with Stephen, when he's dead, I was there, and I go to the hospital when I know when someone called me.
She'd hoped she would confess, but Evelyn continued to say that she was innocent. Then Margaret told her that they had all loved her and she couldn't understand why Evelyn would stoop so low as to having the man that loved her murdered just for his money.
And I was crying.
But your boyfriend, it was your boyfriend.
I never have a relationship with him.
You didn't have a relationship with him? You sure about that?
Even if I die now, I have a perfect life. I have beautiful Jessica and I have beautiful Joshua in my life.
Not anymore. About to go spend your life in jail, and then you're going to pass and you're going to burn in hell.
Stephen is the best man in my life. It is mine.
Stupid girl, Evelyn, you're a stupid girl.
I haven't done anything wrong.
He loves you. I love
you. Did do something wrong because you just got convicted of it. So you might as well just take some accountability.
You. He loved you. Your children
Obviously,
loved you. And look what's
you.
happened.
I don't have anything with Stephen. My daddy knows what is happened that night.
The upsetting part for me is knowing that I won't see him again. And also for his children. That they won't have that opportunity. And I think that's the saddest thing. Because he loved his kids. He was so proud of them.
Later, back in the UK, Margaret wrote a message to Evelyn. The pain and resentfulness she finally felt came out in that letter. She told Evelyn that she meant nothing to them anymore, and she had lost her family. The children would be taken care of by her and her husband, and she hoped that the boyfriend Evelyn briefly had would have been worth losing it all.
I do remember telling him that he needs to be careful. You know, some of these people are crazy. And he made a comment, I'll never forget, he made a comment about, that they wouldn't hurt him because he's the golden goose, you see? And I remember telling him that you forget the moral of the story is that they killed the golden goose. And I think we just kind of laughed it off and had another beer.
In the end, it had taken 2 years for justice to happen in the death of Margaret's son. What she did came at a considerable cost. She paid for travel, attorneys, a private investigator, passports for the children, gas money to the police to question suspects, places to stay while she...
Gas money to the police? You have to cover the police's gas money there? That's crazy as hell.
And her husband were in the Philippines and sending money to Evelyn's family because they helped Margaret. Margaret mortgaged her house twice and used almost all of their savings. But through it all, it was because of a mother's love for her child that she did it. If she had to move heaven and earth to find out who was responsible for her son's murder, she would have done that as well.
You took my son. Now I have yours and your daughter, who someday will come and ask, "Why, Mummy? Why was you so bad?" and leave us and kill our daddy.
The love of a parent can be so strong that nothing can break it. No force on earth can destroy it, and the bond between parent and child is never-ending, especially that of a mother.
Oh, man. Dear Lord, that is crazy. All for just a boyfriend and some money. That is outrageous. What do y'all think about that one? Oh, too much. That is too much. Y'all, thank you for the love. Thanks for hanging out during the TikTok live. Thanks for coming over here to YouTube. The best part is you can rewatch these ones too, which is awesome. Y'all, thank you for being here. Make sure you go check out thehauntedSide.com. That goes right to the link tree. Check out the merch store. Make sure you subscribe here. Leave a like on this video, y'all. Oh, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Take care. Be safe, everybody.